It's my great pleasure to welcome you to the inaugural Speaking in Cinema, which is a program that will actually continue for 2 years. Every other month it will happen here at the Cinematheque, and the idea is, of course, to promote cinema as an art form and bring together filmmakers with critics, visiting critics, and local critics.
I hope you guys will enjoy our conversation with Daniel Patrick Carbone, the young director of this film, Hide Your Smiling Faces, which Dana chose me to see it because he knows the kind of films I like, and it's a film that one of my favorite themes is life and death, and for some reason it's something interesting to come to terms to, but it's also a film that invites the audience in to project their own interpretations of it. To me are the only moments that you use that music during these sequences with the boys on the bicycle?
Yeah, this is the first movie that I used any music in. None of my shorts did I ever use any score. But I always felt like it was so powerful that it very easily falls into too much guiding the emotions of the audience. And one of the things I wanted to test for myself in this movie was to try to never feel like I was pushing the audience one way or another emotionally.
How did you direct the children when they're on the bike?
I don't know. They were two really special kids, and we spent them. All of my shorts have had kids as the lead characters, and I've learned kind of how not to direct kids. That was sort of the biggest thing I took away from film school was how to do it the wrong way, because I did it the wrong way a lot, and I realized that finding two kids that were willing to be open and share their own real lives and real relationships. It's a movie about relationships and about kind of coming to terms with the people you find around you and the incidents that happen that we have to kind of know control over. And the process of finding them was more about asking kids lots of questions and seeing which ones are willing to share their deep, dark secrets with us and say, well, what's the saddest thing that's happened to you, or what's the happiest moment of your life, or what's it like to go home, what's it like when your parents yell at you, what's the last bad thing you've done and you've gotten in trouble for, and things like that. And the only ones that would really open up were Ryan and Nate, and they were willing to use their own, Nate, the older boy, has a sister with special needs, and that was something that we talked about a lot, and that was part of the way he was able to kind of take on that older brother protector role.
And the film is tightly edited. It doesn't go on, scenes don't go on, especially with the bicycle. You see a lot of the effect of montage there,
mm-hmm.
and also with music. So I just wondered what does that do to the narrative to throw in that montage? Why did you put these moments in there with these kids?
I think that the main reason is for when you're 11, that's sort of, that's the equivalent of getting in your car and driving, out to the, there's like the cliche scenes where people go and sort of clear their minds and turn the music up loud and, scream.
Amy, when you wrote about this when you first saw it in Tribeca last year, the last Tribeca Film Festival, right?
Yeah, I think it was last year. I totally forgot that it was voted.
Yeah.
The National Film Critics voted it the best first film of the year, and because I voted, the National Film Critics, but I totally forgot that. It's interesting to talk about that sequence in Boys on Bikes, because I know people who walk out of movies when they see a boy on a bike because it is an enormous cliche. Boys on bikes. I mean, you don't walk out of the Dardenne brothers when they have that boy on the bike, but young American filmmakers. But this is really different, and it's the music that makes it different, and it's the music that encloses them.
Yeah, it's interesting to call it a montage because it is and it isn't, because I think a montage is often informational, not purely informational, but it's often sort of a condensing of a longer period of time. And this scene is, for me, I'm almost trying to expand a small period of time into something bigger.
The liminal state. I mean, it's like these kids are between something, except they don't know what they're between. And it's, obviously they can ride bikes and they're secure on them and they don't have phobias and all that. But nevertheless, you have this odd sense about the space around them. And the space around them always seems somewhat threatening. I think in part because there is so little narrative to hold on to.
Do you ever think about dying?
What?
Like dying, someone killing you, or you killing yourself?
No, not really.
I do.
Why?
I don't know. I just do.
Are you sad?
Yeah, I guess a little.
You want to die because you're sad? That's dumb.
Get off!
We have a special guest. Nathan Morgenstern is on Skype.
Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to talk about what it's like to work with Dan. And thanks for letting me talk. That's awesome. Working with Dan was my first thing, and it was pretty nerve-wracking. But I mean, he was everything I could have wanted as a director. He was very comforting and kind, and he let me do my own thing. He just laid out what he wanted in a scene, where it should end up, and basically let me, Ryan, Thomas, Chris, and everybody just, do what we felt was right with our character. And I mean, I just can't think of, I can't think if it would have gone any better any other way. So that's what I've got to say about Mr. Daniel.
All right. Thank you.
And thanks for letting me talk, and have a great event, guys.
You were great in the film. One of the reasons I was drawn to this film is it is a different world, than a world that I knew growing up. For lots of reasons. I mean, I didn't grow up in a place that was rural, but the kinds of ways that boys do dangerous things. I mean, they put themselves in situations that are dicey to prove themselves because that's the way they become men. But they find things that excite their imagination, in part because they're about dead things. I mean, dead birds and animals and just picking them up. And I'm sitting there thinking, what? They're full of
Disease.
well, bees, bacteria, scary, rabies. I mean, and these boys are just, they're,
Singing to the bird.
it's a kind of, it's not thoughtless, but it's a way that you found to show that particular thing of, it's not thoughtless, it's not reckless, but it is really being driven by curiosity. And curiosity is something that we don't see very much of in movies.
The script had scenes where they did speak a bit more, and then on set, like Nate sort of alluded to, a lot of it was we would do a take with my script, which is an adult trying to sound like a 12-year-old or a 15-year-old, and some of it was okay, and some of it wasn't that great, and we would do a take with that, and they would say, well, like, I wouldn't say that, or I wouldn't say it that way, or maybe I wouldn't say anything at all after he does that. So a lot of those silences were built in because that's what felt right to them in the moment, and they could kind of, they had to stick to the idea of the scene, and some scenes do lead to other scenes. It's not just all random scenes, but sometimes they had some rules to follow, but for the most part they could do and say what they wanted and kind of move where they wanted, and Nate was always putting Ryan in like headlocks and stuff, and that to me that spoke so much more than hitting the nail on the head and saying, everything's going to be all right.
Something you said made me curious when you said you had experience in school directing kids.
Mm-hmm.
So has all your work been about this period in
Yeah,
your character's life?
So far, pretty much, yeah. I mean, my thesis at NYU was about an older teenager, like an 18, 19-year-old, but always kind of pre-adulthood, yeah. I don't know why. I think I like characters that are, like you said, I like watching someone figure themselves out on screen. And I think at no point in your life does that happen more frequently than those ages, where it seems like every day some major life decision has to be made, even though maybe in hindsight it wasn't such a big deal, but at the time, it's life or death.
Well, there's a lot of, what I like about the film too is how it gives you information without exposition.
Mm-hmm.
There's a sort of, and it's great that the children directed you in a way against that. But you also do marvelous things as a director.
Are you all right?
You need to know that the Lord has a plan. The Lord has a plan for Ian. You know that, right?
He wanted this to happen.
Excuse me?
He wanted this to happen.
Did I want it to happen?
He, the Lord.
Oh, the Lord. Well, he works in mysterious ways. And he has a plan for bigger than any of us could ever possibly understand. And sometimes things happen that, life's just tough.
There's a lot of mirrored scenes in the film from before and from after, and played like that, they sort of seem like the same scene. But the way that the film is constructed is kind of pre and post event. And
Right.
how does the same action and the same two people in the same exact space saying more or less the same thing, how does that feel differently after, in the wake of something?
In this film.
Sorry.
I love what you do with the focus as well. There's a lot of shallow focus going on too.
Yeah.
So, why'd you want to share this?
I thought everyone was gonna have to see the movie. No, it's a scene. I think it's a scene where you get a little bit of tenderness, unexpected tenderness in a movie that has a lot of brutal reality of human interactions, and I wanted to show. It's a different scene. It's a scene that sort of stands out from the rest of the scene stylistically, and like you said, sort of photographically shot a little bit differently than the rest of the film. And I wanted to show Tommy's kind of small arc that he makes, and that's sort of part of it. Is part of growing up, I think, is being able to put yourself in other people's shoes and not necessarily just see the world see people as two-dimensional.
I mean, but the bridge here is we see it very differently, because the bridge is, I mean, this is like almost like pulling out of the human part of the story to, this is a place, and these things have happened in a place, and many, 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 many things like this will happen in this place on and on and on and on. And that's what I like about that. I also think it's a very risky thing to do, just to go to nature.
Right.
The architectural, that bridge, when you shoot inside there, were those rooms really part of that bridge?
Yeah, the
That
way
was
the film is
fantastic.
cut, the way the geography of that scene that you're referring to is true to the actual geography of that bridge.
So it had those like rooms that you could drop.
Yeah. You can go to the middle. There's a lot of ways to get in it, and when you grow up there, you learn all of them.
Which you did,
Which
right?
I did. But there's a scene in the film where they're on top of the bridge and they go through a manhole, and then they come down a ladder, and they're in this kind of otherworldly.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and my brother did half of that graffiti in there like 20 years ago. But yeah, there's I don't know. I guess it's just access points for when that was a train bridge, 100 years ago.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. It's way scarier as an adult. I was sort of like, are you sure you guys want to do this? And they're like, yeah.
It's true. You ever try climbing a tree when you're an adult?
Yeah.
It gets scary all of a sudden. So it's scary.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a place that I grew up going to and doing weird stuff inside, and I do. It's sort of like this mythical. It looks like a different era. I mean, it is from a different era. It looks like ancient Rome. It's like this structure just dropped in the middle of New Jersey.
Where is it?
It's in New Jersey. It's northwest New Jersey. Like the river that it goes over is the Delaware River. Pennsylvania is just on the other side of that river.
So thank you guys so much.